What up, Search fam? Sharde here. It's Tuesday. Grab your tea. Let's get started. Hello, my dear ones. I hope you are doing well. Happy Tuesday. My prayer is that your day is off to a solid start. Mine has been busy already, but I don't know. Some days when I am sitting down to do the podcast, I'll be like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And more often than not, I usually do subject matter on things that have been wrestling on my insides for a while, right? I was looking at something online. I'm pretty sure it was a TikTok, and it proposed an affirmation that said, I stand under an open heaven. And I've been reflecting on this since I saw it. And it's really been weighing on me as I continue to sort of reframe my mindset towards abundance, and not in the sort of cliche like I'm going to manifest and I am bringing all of these things and prosperity to me, but really in a very practical sense of what it means to want to curate and co-create a cool ass life, which is my tagline, right? And I'm thinking about how important it is to cultivate habits and mindsets that lend to being able to cultivate for yourself the kind of life you want to live. To some degree, that does include mindsets of abundance and lack. And if you haven't heard sort of discourses on those things, a mindset of abundance is believing that all things are possible and that you can achieve and have all the things that you desire. Lack would be essentially the opposite: worry, anxiety over where money is coming from, where you'll be able to get whatever the thing is. And I say it's important because truly what we think becomes what we say becomes the habits that we perform. And if you want to have a better quality of life, it does start with the mind. And so for me personally, my sort of worldview is one where I believe in, a higher power. I call that power God, sometimes spirit. Like, I think the terms are a little bit superfluous because it is an entity in which is for me, in and outside of me, of which I have no complete conception of what that means. Like, that's sort of beyond my human understanding. And so I seek out to cultivate a practice that helps me to understand a little bit better, little by little. There's that. I am also, for a lot of intents and purposes, Christian. And this may be the first time you've heard me say that in that way, but that's how I always sort of frame it, because although I was raised in a Christian home, part of a Black church, and I still very much am indebted to the Black Christian tradition for forming me, I'm a lot more flexible on a lot of things for many reasons, and that is a different conversation. But I want to give you a bit of a sense of where I'm coming from when I say these things. So yes, I have a God concept, and then because of that, heaven is not a foreign concept. It's not one that I shy away from. Like, you could easily say the universe, whatever, it's vast. It's all vast. We don't know what all is there. Anyway, the concept of standing under an open heaven at its core, for me, says nothing is outside of the realm of possibility. Nothing that I desire has to elude me. That whatever I can conceive in my mind and put my energy toward has the ability to become a reality within my 3D experience. And because of that, as I've wrestled with that, it does make you have to call into question your beliefs, what you believe you deserve, what you believe you are worthy of. And those are sorts of things that I continue to wrestle with. I bring that to you for a sort of moment of reflection and something for you to bring into your own practice. Part of what I'm doing here is helping you to cultivate a spiritual practice that works for you. And so, what does it mean if we stand under an open heaven or a vast universe to where nothing is closed off from us? Well, one, that flies in the face of late stage capitalism, right? Because part of what makes capitalism what it is this idea that there is lack, that you must rush towards attaining something because there's not enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough resources. There's not enough space. There's not enough opportunities. And that could not be further from the truth. But that also keeps us in these cycles in which we are in competition for a few things, when there's so many things and possibilities that are open to us if we open our minds to them, right? And so as I think about that in my own life, it has reframed my desires for certain things. Like, I don't call myself a minimalist, but over the past couple of years, as I have been thinking about what it means for me to be abundant, it does include less things, because the enjoyment, the fulfillment is not necessarily in the things, but in the experiences. And I know that there are no experiences closed off for me if I want them. It may not come immediately, and that's the other thing, is that you have to get used to the length of the process potentially. Like, some things come quickly. Some things you can bring into your life with amazing speed. And some you have to continue to journey towards. You have to wait in sort of expectation of it. You have to go through the process of making yourself prepared for the desire, because it's not just enough to desire a thing and get it, but we also want to think about how we maintain those things. Just like, you know, when you teach a child to drive, okay? I started learning how to drive at about 15. My grandmother taught me how to drive, and she taught me how to drive in a 1987 Chrysler, big old car, huge car. And before she put me on the road, she took me into the parking lot of my middle school, which had sort of a loop around it, the bus loop, and she let me drive the Chrysler around the bus loop on a weekend when nobody was at the school. She also made me learn how to 3-point turn in the bus loop between some trees where I couldn't hurt nobody. But also, if I banged into something, the car was made out of entirely metal. So nothing was hurting the car. And then, because my grandmother was also in her 70s when I started learning how to drive, she was like, okay, we're going to get you some lessons, because I didn't take driver's ed. So I went and took driving lessons, and then I took the test for my license. It wasn't until I had my license for a few months before I got a car. I was 17 years old when I got my first car. And so that was a whole process, a 2-year process to go from unable to drive to owning a car. And I used that as an example of that's how sometimes the experiences or things we aspire to go. I see a book that I want. I look at my checking account. My checking account say, yeah, we could do that. I buy the book. I either buy the book from the bookstore, get it in hand that day. I order it, and I get it in a few days. But that is a quick process. That's, ooh, I want this thing. Everything lines up. I can get the thing. But if it's something larger, like I want, this sort of apartment, it might be I need to do this sort of job that will allow me this amount of money for this cost of living. I need to purchase these items to make the house look like I want it to look. This area, just there are more details that have to be fleshed out to bring that into fruition. So that might take more than getting a book. And so in all of that, nothing is closed to me, but I just have to be prepared for the nuances that go along with attaining the object of my desire. But it is it's a process in and of itself to learn that nothing is closed to you, and that just because you don't have it now doesn't mean that you cannot have it. It just means you don't have it now. And I think part of that is learning to be present and again, practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude has done a lot to open me up to all that is at my disposal, all that I have experienced. It is a very good reminder of just how full life can be if you are present and recognize what you have, instead of always looking too far behind you to what you had and don't have anymore, or too far forward into what you desire that you don't have. I think a lot of a mindset of abundance is being present and realizing there are so many blessings at your disposal right now. That might have seemed a little all over the place. I hope it made sense, but that is what is in my head right now, just thinking about the mindset of abundance and how it is more than just having money and resources, but it is having a disposition towards endless possibilities, and knowing that because you exist, there are possibilities endlessly laid before you. My sincerest hope for you, friends, is that as you continue to aspire, you will hold in your heart that nothing is outside of your grasp. That if you can conceive it and place your energy toward it, and it aligns, more importantly, that it aligns with who you are, who you want to be, and the life you desire, that it will come to you. I also pray that you will have patience in your process, see the blessings even when things take a minute, and that you will realize that abundance is far more than you even understood it to be, and that brings you joy. As always, I love you. I pray a smooth week for you, and that you will find a reason to smile. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.